thanks for joining in. I'm Carol Lighthall from the Chamber of Commerce. Presenting today, we have Chris Meyer on the telephone, and he's a coordinator with the Everyone Eats program, and he'll tell you all about that. Today's program is all about restaurants, and it looks like one person is waiting. Let me add that person. There we go. Good morning. Yep.
How are you?
Glad you could join in.
Yeah, thanks.
So I was just, we're going to get started with the program. So we have Chris Meyer with the Everyone Eats program. And we also have Amy Spear, and she's with the Vermont Chamber, VP of Tourism. And just usually my regular answer lady. And,
okay.
And so the Vermont Chamber is a statewide affiliate of the NRA, the National Restaurant Association. Very pertinent, of course, to the conversation. Chris is driving, and Chris, if you can safely do so, why don't you get started for us? And actually, we have a small group here today, and so I would just tell you we have Kim Prince from Seesaws. We have Lisa from the Castle. We have Laura from Murdoch's, and our presenters. And we also have our friends from Okemo Valley Television. So there's Eric, and he'll help to make sure we have a nice video to share after all of this. So with that, let's turn it over to Chris Meyer related to the Everyone Eats program.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today?
We're good.
Good. So Everyone Eats has started to come into the news a lot more prominently in the last week as a lot more organizations have rolled this out. This program comes from federal COVID aid to the state of Vermont, and Vermont created the bill for this program and authorized SEVCA to be the fiscal agent for the state to oversee this program, which is three important factors. The first factor is that it is a restaurant stimulus program. The second factor is that it mandates the use of Vermont ingredients in all meals produced by these restaurants. 10% or more is required. And then the third and the most important factor is that it allows us to feed Vermonters. So it's definitely a trifecta win program because we are directly impacting three populations of Vermonters with the money from this program. And in partnership with the Springfield Family Center and Christian Paradise, Chester Helping Hands and myself wrote the grant and got the grant, and we've been operating for 3 weeks. This is our 4th week of the program. There's 16 weeks to go, and we've been growing it gradually because one of the things the state really does not want to see is waste. So we're making sure we have the number of people to receive meals that can be produced. So we're slowly adding restaurants as the demand for meals increases.
Great.
And yeah, I mean, so there's restaurants. I mean, we are all over the place. So everywhere from so Neighborhood Connections in Londonderry is one of our partners, and all their adjoining towns. Black River Good Neighbors in Ludlow with their adjacent towns and communities. Chester Helping Hands, Andover, Rockingham Helpers are placed in Fellows Falls, the Grafton Community Church, various organizations have been building lists of people from we pick them up, distribute them to the meals are passed out or delivered to residents all over the place. And we are slowly growing. And like Laura, for example, I did get your email, so I do plan to talk to you. We're just trying to make sure that we grow responsibly and make sure that we don't have a lot of extra meals at the end of the day that we have to find a home for, because these are all fresh meals coming from Vermont restaurants.
And so the program, my understanding is for $5 million. Is that accurate?
That is. The first installment is $5 million for the 20 weeks. There is a strong suggestion that it will be repeated depending on the outcome of data collection and other factors for the first wave. And there has been also talk about this becoming an economic development program down the road. Right now, we're guaranteed 20 weeks, and between Chester and with 1,500 in the next 4 weeks.
Okay, and can you give some examples? So this is a 20-week program right now that's funded for $5 million statewide. It sounds like you have some good representation. It sounds like a couple in Londonderry, a couple of restaurants, a general store in Chester, and also at least one restaurant in Chester, maybe more.
Yep, so I can give you the list if you like, Carol. The Killarney in Ludlow, Neil's Restaurant in Proctorsville, the Copper Fox in Springfield, New American Grill in Londonderry, the Upper Pass Lodge at Magic Mountain, the Heritage Deli and Bakery in Chester, Preston's Pizzas in Chester, which is the former Pizza Stone, Smitty's in Chester, and Jamaican Jewels down towards Saxon's River, Leslie's Restaurant in Rockingham, MKT Grafton in Grafton, and there's a couple of others that are coming up online as well.
And so the meals are valued at $10, and so the program buys the meals for $10, and they need at least a 10% of local farmer contribution to the meal. Is that right? That's
correct. So they're recommending that every meal contains a protein, a starch, and a fruit or vegetable. It can use fresh produce. It can use Vermont cheese, Vermont maple syrup, Vermont proteins. Basically anything, Vermont flour, like King Arthur flour counts. So pretty much anything that's sourced from a Vermont company. One of the big things is they want to keep as much of this grant money as possible in the state of Vermont.
And so if a restaurant wants to sign up, tell us how that happens. And then what happens once they sign up? How is food picked up and make its way to the ultimate recipient?
So they can certainly reach out to me.
Chris, you might need to pull over. It sounds like your connection is a little... Okay, we're not hearing you.
And as I said, we can't add more.
Okay, are you still there, Chris?
Hello?
Yes. Okay, we're hearing you.
I am still. Okay, so we do have a waiting list. We're increasing our numbers gradually for restaurants just to make sure that we can serve the people equal to the number of meals we can get. The process is basically we will pick up the meals from your restaurant and get them to distribution locations. They just need to be packed and cooled, refrigerated, and ready to go for whatever day of the week. Usually it's Wednesdays, but whatever day of the week the distribution center needs them. And we have a 2-week pay cycle, so you submit an invoice to us the week you produce the meals, and every 2 weeks you get a check from the Springfield Family Center to cover the meals. And you have to provide invoices showing the Vermont goods that you've produced, that you've used for your meals. And that's about it.
Are there questions for Chris on the Vermont Eats program?
What type of meals? Can you give us some examples?
Chris, are you there?
Sure. So we've had meatloaf, potatoes, and veg ham. Can you not hear me? Hello?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay. So we've had meatloaf, potatoes, and vegetables. We've had a salmon dish with zucchini and squash and rice. We have had chicken just about every way you can imagine with a starch and vegetables. We have pizzas, both regular cheese pizzas and pesto pizzas. We've had a grilled chicken Caesar with a garlic knot. We've had some vegetarian dishes, a lot of pasta, as you might imagine, pesto, with a pretty wide variety. We're using it's a 7-inch round dinner plate that the meals are coming in, and it doesn't take a lot of food to make that a good, healthy meal. And most of the meals are going to senior citizens. So, you know, portion size, it doesn't have to be a huge portion size. It has to be reasonable.
Okay, that's helpful.
And how many meals do you need on those days that you pick up?
So generally speaking, we're looking for multiples of 25 just to keep our accounting simple. So if you could do 25 a week, that's fine. If you could do 100 a week, that's fine. We are growing gradually. We do need to add some capacity next week. So, you know, we're probably looking at adding another 100 meals a week over what we're getting right now.
Okay, is that 25 per business, Chris? Per day, like one day?
Yeah, it could be 25. It's 25 per week. So if a restaurant can do 25 or 50 or 100, we just ask that we get them all on one day.
Okay.
And right now our collection day is Wednesday, and our primary distribution days are Wednesday for 4 of the major distribution locations, but we do have some flexibility in that as well.
Okay.
Some of the conversation that I've heard around Everyone Eats is that for restaurants, this is not an answer to funding their operations and taking all problems away, but it might be a nice supplement to what you're doing already if you're doing takeout. Is that right, Chris? Have you heard that too?
I would say that's accurate. I had a conversation with Neil from Neil's restaurant the other day, and he said that what this means for him is for his business is having one really good day, one extra day a week. So, you know, if his Friday and Saturday business is already strong, you know, suddenly his Wednesday business is strong too. So,
Yes.
you know, it's not a cure-all, but it is it's a nice supplement.
Excellent. I should get your contact information so we can share it with everybody.
Absolutely. When I'm at my desk,
Yeah.
when I'm at my desk, Carol, I'll send that to you. And I am definitely going to lose you in about 35 seconds. So,
I think we're good. If there's other questions, okay. I'll have people email you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. So think about Everyone Eats. It has 3 kind of bottom lines. Restaurant stimulus, it'll help somewhat. As Chris said, it'll give you 1 good day a week if you're participating. It's looking for Vermont local ingredients of 10% per meal. Restaurants get paid $10 per meal in increments of 25, maybe to as many as 100 meals a week. And you get paid every 2 weeks, and it feeds Vermonters, and it sounds like there's an important senior citizen feeding component. So thank you for that. And I'm going to turn things over to Amy Spear with Vermont Chamber, and Amy's doing a lot of work related to restaurants. We know winter's coming, it all stresses me out, and I'm sure it stresses you out. And so there's a lot of resources, you know, and just hearing how else we can be more helpful to you. But I feel really good, you know, having Amy visit us today and just talk about restaurants. Thank you. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. It's good to see everyone's faces again. I feel like I don't live that far away from the Okemo Valley, so it's like I'm your neighbor. So
because you're in Killington, right?
I am, yes. Yep.
Great.
So just a neighbor to the north. So first, I'll give an update on things that are proposed that'll be beneficial to restaurants, and then I'll talk through some state programs, national programs, and as I'm going through, just feel free to jump in with questions that you have, because it's a small group. We can make this more of a conversation. I think it'll hopefully answer questions that you might have. So since the beginning of the pandemic, the Vermont Chamber really has been pushing for industry relief, particularly for restaurants. That's who we're talking to today. So included in Governor Scott's $133 million proposal was a $50 million, we're calling it a rescue package for the lodging and restaurant industries and the ones that are peripherally related, such as events, wedding industry. So in that package, it would be an additional bucket of relief money that would be available to restaurants. So this is on top of the Economic Recovery Grant Program that's already available. So currently this is in the legislature. I testified on this last week. There were a number of industry folks that were in testifying with House Economic Development on this. So the legislature, we're asking them to move this program forward as quickly as possible because it's critical support that the restaurant industry needs. So we're continuing to push that ahead. Carol's really great about keeping everyone informed. So if there are any action items, they get sent to her through our chamber network that we have it. I don't know, maybe it's the chamber bat signal that we want to call it, just to make sure we inform the industry around the state of what's going on. But right now that's being heard, throughout the legislature. Also included in that $133 million is a $23 million bucket that would be for businesses that were left behind in the first round of funding. A good example in the restaurant industry, that's, some folks changed their model quickly and might have only had 40% loss, which 40% loss, as you all know, is huge when you don't have big margins, and the restaurant industry doesn't operate with, significant margins. So that is very impactful. So currently, as that proposal sits, it would open it up for sole proprietors, and the loss threshold would be changed to 30%. So those are for the people that missed out on that first round of funding. So that's really the core of the new relief packages that are proposed. Are there questions before I move on to other items?
I have a question. So far, it seems like a lot of the funding is based on, revenue loss, which I understand. My question is this: there are times when I almost feel like we're having a lot of expenditures to be operating safely and to keep up our business and revenue, and I almost feel penalized at times for doing that. Because, as you mentioned, it's a very narrow profit margin. And if you're buying all this safety equipment, buying outdoor tables and patio chairs and umbrellas, and we just, bought and installed, 15-foot patio heaters to heat and extend the outside dining season. So we're generating the revenue, but at the expense of the expenditures. And so far, everything is looking at revenue. So again, I'm not, are there anything, proposals looking at the expenditures, or, right now I almost feel like it'd be smarter to kind of scale down, because otherwise, why are we doing this? But it's just in my nature to try to do everything we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so right now there's not a proposal that exists in the way it currently sits to reimburse for health and safety upgrades in this rescue package. But really the rescue package that's targeted to lodging and restaurants is in recognition of not only has the industry been, disproportionately harmed due to COVID because of travel restrictions, but there's also, occupancy restrictions that people are dealing with. And again, yes, there are certainly costs associated with adapting your business. And And that's, it's a concern that we've definitely heard from a number of folks there. One of the terms that has certainly cropped up, and I think some people are waiting to see how the rescue package is passed, as they're wondering, well, do I need to shift potentially to do, primarily takeout in the winter season if I lose my patio? And, we're hopeful for more money to go into the rescue package because, with the industry weighing, like, do I scale back my operations because of limited occupancy indoors? We're almost saying it's like restaurants are being asked to hibernate in a way and shift. And that's why we're really pushing for as much money as possible to go directly into relief for, industries like restaurants, because, you're really being asked to hibernate in a sense. And, hopefully this rescue package will help alleviate some of the burden.
Then it seems like it's promoting hibernation rather than adaptation.
I would say it could go either way, really. Like if you're looking at, let's say a scenario you could think of is if the 50% occupancy inside is not addressed and the winter season comes, this additional relief money could be helpful to bridge that gap between the occupancy restrictions and losing outdoor dining. Because some folks might decide that they don't want to operate a takeout business. So it's really, it really depends on the restaurant. And I've heard all sides of the equation where people are going to operate as is, some are going to go to takeout only, and then some are really looking at options that are available once the relief package, hopefully gets passed. So it's.
Do you have any idea when that's going to be, Amy?
We've been pushing for it to be passed expeditiously because, we're saying time is of the essence and the funding is critical for, the impacted industries. Right now they're working on it on both sides of the House and Senate, and we're just, they've been back for a little over a week now, and we're certainly beating the drum with, act quickly, please. Thank you for the initial relief dollars, but please act quickly on the additional funds that have been proposed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any talk or any funding available for the innovations that restaurants and a lot of our businesses, but right now as we head into winter, that restaurants need to be putting in place? Is there anything to help with the actual stuff they put in place?
Now, as everything is proposed, there's not, there's the relief package, but there's not a specific set aside for, business improvements. So there's not an improvement bucket, there's a relief bucket. And, one of the things that we have asked in the legislation as they're working on it is to remove some of the restrictions that were written into the original piece of legislation, because, once the legislature adjourns, they don't come back until January. So ACCD needs to be able to have the flexibility to adjust and optimize the programs to meet the industry needs versus, if we don't spend the money, we lose the money. So making sure that, restrictions that could have impacted funding, such as the sole proprietor issue at the beginning, making sure that's addressed and there's more flexibility given in, to ACCD to administer funds.
Well, I'm sure like everybody else, we've reduced staff as well. We started off with takeout once we reopened in May, and it was just my chef and myself. And we've expanded to a server because now we have our porch. However, we are coming into foliage time, not knowing, are we going to be going, what the capacity is going to be. We're at 50% right now, which is not a lot. And once we come inside, that cuts that back again because you have to be 6 feet apart. So do we have any idea of when that is going to change at all?
In terms of the guidelines for the industry, one thing in particular that I know I've heard from folks that they're asking about has to do with physical barriers. Some people, because of, it's not, Vermont doesn't have cookie cutter restaurant spaces. They're primarily independently owned operations. And for some, even getting to 50% capacity isn't possible due to the layout of their restaurants. So they're asking for the use of physical barriers to be looked at again, because that wasn't originally passed. So, that's one thing that we're asking about. We're anticipating that once we get through school openings, there will be another update, and we're not sure what it's going to look like, but we would imagine once we get through school openings, because that's, been very clear as a priority, then we'll potentially see, what's ahead for the industry.
So getting, if physical barriers are going to be promoted, that's another additional cost, as well as like heaters. We also have lodging, we have common spaces. We're looking at buying different locks and actually converting everything so people don't use common spaces and they enter through the outside. So all this would keep people employed, keep our employed, keep our housekeeping employed. However, again, the structure right now, the programs, is that I'm starting to wonder, it's not helping us pay for these physical barriers, for these innovations, for being creative and keeping people employed. It actually will pay me to contract, lay people off, and hibernate. And it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly no doubt that this has absolutely been a challenging time for the industry. And I wish there was, that the one solution that would cure all. And, I guess one great thing about having these conversations is it's more, I count this because it's a small, intimate group. It's a lot of great one-on-one conversations, and it's really important for me to hear, what would be most beneficial in our engagement. And, loud and clear, I hear, helping for investment on, upgrades for health and safety is certainly yeah.
And I don't
Anything you can do.
Yeah, I don't even see it as an upgrade, but if people could give a proposal, a grant proposal, and have that be reviewed, making sure that it accounts for promoting operation, promoting jobs, promoting health and safety, that I think would be helpful in restaurants and whatnot that are very, narrow profit margins. So, we could have the revenue, but if our expenses far exceed the revenue, what's the point?
Yeah.
I agree with you, Lisa. We're very limited. We've already cut our staff back halfway, so it's kind of like, trying to move forward, but how do you move forward when you're not sure of what's going on and what can be done?
The question,
and trying to stay safe at the same time.
Question I have for the group is, I'm guessing that everyone here, I'm hoping everyone was able to apply and receive an economic recovery grant. Just curious how that process was for you, and just so that we can advocate on your behalf. It's always important for me to understand, how programs are working or not working, so we might be able to have a broader scope of understanding.
So have folks applied for the economic recovery grants through ACCD? So for you guys, it would have been the grants applied through the tax department.
Carol, yes, for us, we did. It was a very simple, easy process. I actually helped another bed and breakfast who thought it was much more complicated, and they were very appreciative, as were we. I've never seen a smoother process. So you just applied through Vermont Tax, and then the money was in the bank before I even got notification.
Great.
That went well.
And that's been expanded. So if you hit the $50,000 limit on the program, it just got expanded to $150,000. Is that right, Amy?
Yes. Yep, and those that hit the $50,000 cap and were eligible for additional funds, I believe the tax department was also proactively reaching out to folks to let them know that they were eligible for additional funds.
Excellent.
Yeah. So if there are no other questions on, I guess, the relief money that we're, that's proposed right now and we're pushing for, I definitely hear your feedback on that it would be very helpful for funds to help make improvements for health and safety perspective and occupancy operations, or any upgrades that are needed due to COVID-19 public health and safety responses. So definitely hear you on that side of it as well. So just looking at the time, we're at 11:34. One thing I'm going to talk about now is the Surfsafe program. That is a program through the National Restaurant Association. Part of the educational offerings through the Vermont Chamber is that we actually run Surfsafe training. So we do about 100 trainings every year on that program. But if you're interested in training or you haven't been trained, feel free to reach out to anyone on our team and we can let you know if there's a class upcoming or direct you to the online portal for that resource. So for those of you that don't know, it's kind of I guess it's the gold standard of food service training within the industry. One thing that they have, the National Restaurant Association has done is they're trying to also help to market restaurants on the local scale as well. So they have a program right now that's if you want to participate and sign up to be I guess a designated Surfsafe restaurant. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. So I'm going to multitask for just a moment. So essentially you're making a commitment. It's a Surfsafe dining commitment, and then they're directing people to this website. So, I would encourage folks to, review the program. If it seems like it's useful for you, it might be a good way to just expand some of your exposure. And it's got the backing of the National Restaurant Association. So it's really great because you've got a big body. They're promoting, safe dining out. They're also doing other programs. Something else that I'm going to put in there. So the Surfsafe dining commitment, before I move on, it's really a program to help give customers assurance that your restaurant is carefully following all recommended reopening guidance. So it's really marketing with a public health perspective. So again, take a look at that. Let me know if you have any questions. I think that could be a beneficial program to just help to amplify your restaurant, as folks are looking to travel and where they want to eat out. Because it's hard to believe, I guess, for those in the Okemo Valley with ski season right around the corner and fall foliage right around the corner, we're at that time. So, any additional exposure, is a great thing. Does anyone have any specific questions about the Surfsafe program or what it is, or, does anybody here use the Surfsafe program? Looks like that's some folks that do. So, if you have, I'm going to also put my email in the chat. So if something just sparks when you have a question or an idea after this call, always feel free to reach out to me. I try to get to my email as quickly as possible. So my email is in the chat right now. So if anyone has any questions after this call, always feel free to reach out, because sometimes these calls you get a lot of information to download and you don't always process it right away. So don't hesitate to reach out. It's aspear@vtchamber.com. I'm happy to have an individual conversation with you or point you to a resource that would be helpful. Something else that is at the state level right now is the Buy Local program. That was part of the first COVID relief bill that was passed out of the legislature. So I guess this is it's a pilot program, and businesses are encouraged to sign up for the Buy Local gift card program. I'm going to put that link in the chat right now. It's a great way to add your restaurants to an extended network and be a part of this program. So if you haven't signed up yet, I would encourage you to do so that you can be a part of that. And then something else that I'm going to put in the chat is also another It's a survey that the Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing has put out. It's looking at the economic impact and recovery for the hospitality sector. So I just put that link in the chat as well. I would encourage you to fill out any survey that comes from the state. This helps to inform future programs that they do. It helps to inform packages that get put together or guidelines for programs. So, it's really beneficial. The more information that, the state has or any governing body has, the more they'll be able to make it fit the industry that they're trying to serve. So I would certainly recommend filling that survey out. The next thing that I want to go to is on our tourism marketing program. Kim, I think you've seen your listing on our directory. We actually just launched a new directory, and I'm going to share my screen so that folks can, Carol, would you be able to give me access to share my screen? I forgot to ask about that at the beginning, but I'll give you a little background on our directory that we have on vermontvacation.com. So this is really the role of VDTM is to take people really top of the funnel where they're thinking about traveling. They're supposed to capture those folks to get them in the Vermont funnel, get them excited about coming here. And then tools like the directory are meant to help bring the guests further down, their planning funnel so that they can think of, well, what experiences do I actually want to do when I'm in Vermont? And this is a great planning tool for folks. And one thing that's really great about this, it's a collaborative project between the Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing and the Vermont Chamber. And it was a custom design that we did with a developer out of Brattleboro. He does really great work, and I call it a living product. So it's something that's not out of the box, and we can always make updates to it so that we're making sure we serve the industry as best as we can, because the goal here is to, educate and inform the traveler, but also, one of the features now is a direct booking capability. So people can book lodging, they can book dining reservations, and there's a whole slew of other benefits. But now I think I can share my screen. Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen and just walk you through this, because you can have two different kinds of listings on this directory. What's also important to note is that this is where VDTM directs all of their marketing that they do is to vermontvacation.com. So having a listing on this directory, whether you pay for a featured or enhanced listing or you have a basic listing, I would really urge folks to participate in this for increased exposure. So we really designed this with the user in mind to bring them down that funnel and help them plan their stay. So when you look at it, it's keyword optimized for listings. So if you're looking for Maple as an example, you could type in Maple, and any listing that's been keyword optimized to be Maple will populate here. The other thing is that there is a listing hierarchy, and all of these listings up here are non-limiting. So the more people check for filters, the more businesses display. But what's relevant to the group today is the food and drink filter. So what happens is you can select the filter, and then you'll see it just automatically updates anything that's been tagged as a food and drink experience. And then if the user is saying, well, I know I want to go to Southern Vermont, they can then say, okay, well, I know I'm going to be in the South, so I'm going to select this filter. So then only locations that are in Southern Vermont. And then if they say, I know I want to go to X town, then that town shows up. So it's really helping to bring the user down. And that's why it's important to try to participate in this, whether you do it as a free listing or if you do it as a featured listing. I would, highly recommend it. And you can adapt it based on the season. Our team is very accessible. So again, don't hesitate to reach out to anyone at the chamber. But, this is what the landing page looks like. And I just wanted to, I pulled up Kim's as an example for folks here to see what a featured listing looks like. These are this is what a restaurant listing would look like. On the featured listing, you can get 20 photos. So you can send us whatever photos you want of your business. You have your contact information up here. And then something that's great in a new edition is a book now. So that goes right into making a reservation. So it's bringing people right to that, hopefully that action, like bringing them down to the further down that experience funnel. You know, and price range, experiences, services. Something that's also interesting is that there's also a you may also like. So we're trying to get people to get a flavor of everything that's available within a certain region when they're on here. So it's funny because Seesaw's Lodge, you can see, is here as a related listing on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is in the chat, I'm going to put a link to, if you don't have a listing on Vermont Vacation right now, you can request a listing, and I'm going to just stop sharing my screen, or here I can go in the chat now. And I'm going to put the link to that form so that you could fill it out if you're not on there currently, but go on and play. It's plan.vermontvacation.com. It's where they send people when they're looking for individual businesses. And then also part of this directory is we developed an API feed. So now say, you know, VDQ is doing a feature on chocolate making. Anyone that's tagged as a chocolate maker will now feed into their promotional item. So it's everything talks to one another and it's all integrated. And I guess I'm excited about the product. So I'll pause there and ask any questions that you have about really anything what I talked about or anything else.
Maybe me first. So just on the directory listing, I think an email came out in the last day or two. Is that right, on the survey?
The survey, yeah, that was, the survey I think was released at the end of last week, perhaps.
So we'll put it in our newsletter that'll go out today. I think it's going out today. So thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
It's a really great site, Amy. I actually refer a lot of guests to the site.
Good.
Because even the travel information is very clear for COVID. So it's very well done. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't take credit for all of it. Certainly a team effort between, VDTM manages, the bulk of the site and we do the directory. But, if you don't have partners in Vermont, I don't know if you're Vermonters. We all work together and support each other. And, I think things like the directory on Vermont Vacation are a good example of that.
What are the costs? What are the costs for featured?
Yeah, so if you want a featured listing on the directory, if you break it down to, it's $900 for an entire year. So it's a new pricing model that we have just with all the additional upgrades. And if you can buy it seasonally if you want, if you have a seasonal business and you're not open in the winter or you're not open in the summer, the digital product offers a lot of flexibility. And if you break that $900 down to, I guess, the lowest common denominator, it's $75 a month for that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, there's the directory, plus there's millions of paid advertising going to it. It's a pretty good value that folks will get.
Fabulous.
And I would encourage you, if you do participate in the program, please take a look at your listing because there are a lot of more features and we're going to be sending everybody out a change form. So if you want to be included in more filters or if the old directory, you could only have, I think it was 250 words. Now we have 1,080 characters that you can have, so you can really expand and paint a picture on your business. So I guess look at it. Let me know if you have any questions, but you can request a basic listing. We're happy to get that up. And if you want to, change your featured listing, we can do that too, whatever works best for your business.
Fabulous. Anything else, Amy?
I think that covers all of the high points. Stay tuned. The next couple of weeks, next month or so are going to be fast and furious in the legislature, but, we're going to be continuing to push for relief dollars. Our membership team, our sales team, our tourism team, they're going to be out and about visiting people. They're going to be, reaching out to you. So, we like to talk to our members, so don't hesitate to reach out to us and have a conversation.
Excellent. Anything else, Craig? You've been quiet. Anything?
No, I've just been taking this all in. I mean, it's new for me. I just got back from a trip with the military, so I was just kind of like taking this as my first meeting with you guys, obviously. But, we're seasonal, obviously ski season is what we're really looking for. And, what's going to happen with that. And like Kim was saying, we're trying to create all these new structures too to accommodate people outdoors there. So we're trying to go look beyond, like the normal way we operate, and like Kim said exactly is, we're starting to put heaters out. We've got a tent out. We've got all these health cleaning supplies. And it's like, where's that, I can't just keep upping the price, on all my items here, and because people won't, be able to dine here. So that's the stuff we run into. And, it was really informative to hear all the stuff. I've got a million notes to take back, and Jeff will be appreciative of it. And so, we're going to have to digest some of this stuff and see where we stand.
Excellent. It's, I think, a challenge for all of us, because I find this too. There's so much information swirling around. So just staying on top of things and knowing what's important and what's less important for your business or your industry. And so if we can help in some way, we try to sort things out as best we can, and we try to connect you with experts like Amy here. So anything you need, let us know. It's a lot, I know.
I appreciate
it. Carol's really great at reaching out to us and asking questions and troubleshooting for her members. So she's out there for everybody.
Absolutely. I think we're probably done. If you think we're done, I think we're done. We're finished. Are we? Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for doing
Thank you so much.
Good luck all. Thank you.
If there's another program you want, just let me know.